Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 121st episode of the Triboro Podcast, and welcome back to Queens. I'm
Take
your host,
two.
Nicholas O'Brien. As always, joined by my co-host, Justin Alonzo. Justin Alonzo, how you doing?
Cocomelon. I will be very happy in call it after game 5 of the ALCS. Little gentleman sweep by the Seattle Mariners, who I've always been a fan of. Cal Riley, good player. Never been against Cal Riley whatsoever. You know
Go Owls.
the one who the argument for him being MVP is he's a Platinum Glove defender even though he's not a Gold Glove finalist. That Cal Riley.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah,
No, but I'm doing
he's a good
good.
player. That's good. That's good.
It's good in a sense to not have a team to stress about every day, but I miss
Oh,
the
absolutely.
stress.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way. I've been watching each and every game. I will say these playoffs have been pretty fun.
Yeah.
I think that this has been a pretty good slate. Um, and I'm pretty happy with the final four teams, minus, you know,
One.
the one. But
For me, it's minus the two, but
yeah, but no, I think the games have been great. I think the matchups are pretty good, or have
yeah.
been pretty good.
Yeah, the underdog Dodgers throwing out a hundred and
I
eighty
know
million dollar pitcher, then a $320 million pitcher, then a $700 million player, then a $130 million pitcher. I love it, don't you?
they're taking down the big bad number one seed Milwaukee Brewers. So
Mm-hmm.
like, go underdogs, right?
Yeah.
It's fucking insane. The more I watch Yoshinobu Yamamoto pitch, the more I
Annoyed
become
you get?
upset
Yeah.
and annoyed that he didn't end up signing. Obviously, for you, I'm sure you're annoyed he didn't sign with the Yankees. I'm very annoyed he didn't sign with the Mets. And it's just like, damn, this guy is really fucking good.
And I feel like he's the definition of a guy that I don't want to say he's can't miss because there's no such thing, especially when you're making such a drastic league change and just lifestyle change in general.
Yeah,
But all you hear about the personality, and realistically, like I know the seams and the baseballs are like a little different. But how different really is it for pitchers? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like if they have the makeup of it and like the mindset and all that, is it really that big of a difference for hitters? I think it's completely different. But for pitchers, is it really that big of a deal
yeah. I think,
on a for the game? For the game
yeah,
itself, not the outside factors like moving to another
right.
freaking country,
Country.
but the actual game of playing baseball itself.
Yeah, I think there's an adjustment period for sure, but I think it is probably a little overblown, and I'm probably uh not a victim of that, but like I would probably hype the transition up a little too much as well. But yeah, there's an adjustment period for sure, but these guys were like, some guys just don't work out, like Fujinami, right? I think that was his name.
Yeah.
uh but I think that's more of a player makeup rather than a transition type of thing. So it is what it is. But yeah, Yamamoto is a beast, one of the best pitchers in the league, and it's really fucking annoying he's on the Dodgers. But we're not here to talk about the
At least
Dodgers.
Shohei Ohtani's sitting under 200, but you barely hear anything about that.
Yeah, so far a playoff fraud, and I will pound the table that last year he did nothing but garbage time crap against the Mets.
And
So far, Otani's a fraud.
granted, he hurt his shoulder, but did nothing against the Yankees in the World Series.
Right. The only saving grace is he has one good start in the playoffs so far, which is I think is like what was it, 6 runs? 6 innings, 3 runs against the Phillies, which is a solid quality start, but whatever.
Even then, your best start
Regardless,
allowing three runs, but
yeah, regardless. Enough about the Dodgers. Good playoffs. Go Mariners. But we're back to talk about the
can I say
Mets.
one thing on the Mariners too? Because I've seen people doing this.
Ah,
One last thing, I
Justin.
promise. I promise. Since when have we been adding postseason home runs to regular season totals?
Yeah, I know it. I,
That's
I
dumb.
haven't thought about that,
That's
but
dumb.
I don't think they're adding to it, but it's still like the fact of, oh, he's still hitting all these.
No
Well,
one did that for
I
Judge when he had
because he doesn't hit home
64.
runs in the postseason.
He had 64 total if you had his postseason home runs in 2022. But no
Oh,
one
he had
was.
two more. Wow.
But that's the same thing Rowley's doing. Rowley's at 62. Two more. Judge broke the record and then added more.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
I just think it's dumb that we're doing it now.
Sure. Personally, I saw it, didn't care. But Mets. Uh,
Do we have to?
these fuckers again.
Yeah.
It's been a bit. It's been a few,
The
like what,
abusive
2
ex is
weeks?
back.
Yeah, we're back. Always back. I got a you up text the other night. I'm like, yes,
The
ma'am.
toxic ex is back.
I'm always up for you, baby. But regardless, gonna do some housekeeping stuff. We will talk about the coaching changes really quickly, but today we will be going over season grades for the 2025 Mets. And despite the team performance, a lot of guys had good years. We had, we had good things to talk about, but we'll get into that. So, first and foremost, housekeeping. Coaching changes. Sweeping coaching changes. I think it was last week and a half ago. Eric Chavez, Jeremy Barnes, out. Thank God. Jeremy Hefner, I was surprised. Also out. I think Mike Sauerball was the third base coach. I believe that was his first name. Out as well. John Gibbons stepped away. And forgive me, I forgot his name, but bullpen catcher, bullpen coach. Oh, Glenn Sherlock, I remember, has retired. So far, hitting coach out, pitching coach out, bench coach out, third base coach out. I believe it bullpen coach retired, therefore out.
Now, were a lot of those guys Mendoza guys?
Nope,
No, okay. That could be part
none
of
of
it.
them were. Mendoza, that's a thing that I feel like a lot of people, unless you're a Mets fan, didn't really grasp fully. Is none of these guys, except, well, to be fair, Gibbons was hired when Mendoza was hired. So I guess if you want to call it, that was like
Maybe.
Gibbons and Sarball were like his guys. But Chavez and Barnes have been here since Chavez at least has been here since 2022. Barnes has been here since 23, I believe. Germany Hefner has been here since the dinosaurs were around. But Hefner has gone through multiple managers, multiple GMs. I believe he was here when the Wilpon still what's it called?
Own
Owned
the
the
team.
Mets. So two ownerships, handful of managers.
5 presidential terms.
Yeah, exactly. So when it comes to Hefner, because again, I was surprised he was well, let me rephrase. He wasn't let go. He had an option that just wasn't picked up. But I was still surprised by that because I do think he is a good pitching coach. I believe he has a very good reputation in the league with the players, things like that, things that matter. But at the same time, it's one of those things where if you're going to give him credit for Clay Holmes, for Griffin Canning, for Sean Manaea last year, for Luis Severino last year, if you're going to give him credit for that, you have to also put blame on him for how badly this pitching staff as a whole performed in the later half of the season.
Yeah, yes and no, just because I don't think it was the most talented bunch, but
No, but if you can't get Sanga and Manaea to have a sub 6 ERA, then what are you doing?
no, I agree with you. That's why I said yes and no.
Right. So, yeah, that I understand, and I think it's fair. And then also on top of that, the Mets have been leading the league in like walks and walking percentage for the handful of years. It's not everything, but it is something that you have to take note of. That does put them in a bad position when it comes to pitching. Last year was like a focal point of it. This year we didn't talk about it as much, but they were still the bottom of the league in walks per nine, walk percentage, whatever you want to look at.
I feel like fundamentally, the idea for hitters get on base. The idea for pitchers keep guys off base. When you
Right.
are literally just giving them when they can literally just not swing the bat and get on base for free consistently and you lead the league, that's the issue. Because like
Right.
everyone wants to say like, oh, analytics are ruining baseball.
Oh my God.
Analytics hate walks for pitchers.
We
It
could do a whole
hates
episode
them.
on that.
So just yeah, I don't know if that's a thing of it was Jeremy Hefner or if it was just the guys not having control.
Yeah, I think it's probably a bit of both, if we're being honest. But at the end of the day, Jeremy Hefner has been here for a while. I
Yeah.
think he'll find a unless he doesn't want to coach again, but I think he'll find a job pretty quickly. Uh, I wish him well, but I think the Mets just wanted a new voice. And again, he wasn't a Mendoza hire. Like, he wasn't hired with Mendoza. He wasn't even hired for Stearns. Stearns inherited a lot of these guys as well. Forget about Mendoza. And then you have Eric Chavez and Jeremy Barnes. Eric Chavez probably the way he is talking about things publicly, freely, I doubt he will get another coaching gig. Maybe he'll have like an advisory role, but I think at this point, I think his hitting philosophy is severely outdated, and that obviously has to do with why he wasn't brought back. I will also say that I don't think it's a great idea that when your hitting coach talks back to fans on social media in the middle of the season. So for that reason as well, I think this was a good move and a move that needed to happen.
He's lucky he made it to the end of the season. Let's just leave it at that.
Yes.
Like, I think that's
Yes,
like the big
absolutely.
thing.
Absolutely. So, with that being said, the Mets they had two new hires yesterday. Jeff Albert is in. Now, I'm going to say this very carefully and how it's worded by the Mets because I think this has more to do with it. Was hired as the director of Major League Hitting. Now, I will say, a lot of the times, you make up names just so somebody can't be hired elsewhere. You know, you're not the hitting coach, you're the director of hitting. You know, like, oh, big title. You're not the assistant general
I was
manager.
think
You're the co-general manager, right? Or shit like that.
I was thinking you're not an assistant, you're an assistant regional manager.
Right. So that does happen a lot, so that might have to do with it. But I do think it's interesting how they worded it, and combine that with the fact that when the reporting came out yesterday about him being hired, it did seem like they also want to hire somebody else that would report to him. So again, I'm not sure if this is like he's the hitting coach. It sounds like he will be in the dugout in uniform, but maybe he's kind of like, you know, he's the president of baseball operations, but they're still going to hire a GM type of thing. So I don't know what they're doing, but Jeff Albert was an in-organization hire. He's been overseeing the hitting development since 2023, and I think that's very good news because obviously, if you see the hitting development from 2023 to now, you have guys like Carson Bench, you have guys like Jet Williams, Ryan Clifford, AJ Ewing took a step forward this year, Nick Morabito, guys like that, guys in AA, AAA who have taken strides into hitting. Jeff Albert had a lot to do with that. Besides that, he was the Cardinals hitting coach from 2019 to 2023, so he does have experience in the role. Then moving on to Kai Correa, I believe that's how you pronounce his first name, has been hired as Mendoza's bench coach. He was the Major League Field Coordinator / Director of Defense, Base Running, and Game Strategy with the Cleveland Guardians. I was a little surprised by this. If we had an episode before today, I would have talked about the hiring and the coaching changes in a different light because I would have thought the Mets might go for more, even though John Gibbons was kind of that, a more veteran presence because there's a non 0% chance that Mendoza doesn't make it through 2026 as manager. Therefore, the bench coach would take over or most likely take over because that's kind of usually how it goes. So I would have thought maybe they would want somebody with managing experience. Correa was the interim manager of the Giants for I believe like the last week when he was with the Giants after they got rid of Gabe Kapler. But guess not. They went with a younger guy. It seems like they went more, and a lot of people are going to be mad at this. Don't blow a gasket. It's going to be okay. A more analytical, data driven. Yeah, I know. Sorry,
Numbers,
Justin.
numbers.
I know.
Scary.
But a more analytical, focused coaching staff, which I think was something they were lacking last year with, somebody like Eric Chavez, who publicly said he does not look at hitting stats. You are who you are. Whatever the fuck that means. So, and on top of that, Correa, like I said, field coordinator, director of defense, blah blah blah. With the Guardians, David Stearns, postseason press conference, run prevention, run prevention, run prevention. Defense wasn't good enough. Boom, you hire a bench coach who was in charge of defense with, I would say, one of the better defensive teams in the league in the Cleveland Guardians. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but just from watching and kind of just knowing, I think they're probably one of the better defensive teams overall.
They were ranked third in defensive WAR according to Fangraphs. But
So
it's
there
also
you
a
go.
thing of they were just not close to first or second. The Blue Jays had
Still,
20.7. Second was Chicago. Cubs was 16.2. Cleveland was 7.3.
wow,
Or St. Louis. That's what I mean. Boston or St. Louis 5.2. Boston 4. Then let me look for it else. Mets. The Mets were
probably near the
20th
bottom.
with negative 20.7. And
Right.
I would bet a lot of that has to do with the outfield.
Yeah, yeah.
Outfield and
Soto,
probably first
Nemo,
base.
yeah, Alonso, Vientos, rough. So, with that being said, uh, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I know everything about these guys and this is what you should expect, but I'm satisfied with these hires, I guess. I think Jeff Albert seems like a good guy to have, and hopefully he gets more out of these hitters that we just didn't see with Eric Chavez.
I feel like the thing with coaches in baseball is we know the least about them compared to other sports. Like
Right.
take like football, like we know for general a guy's scheme, we know kind of like what he preaches, kind of what type of players he likes, but a bunch of these coaches that were in the minors, that was kind of through these different levels, we don't know what they're about until we actually see them or see how they affect the teams. And even then how much of that is actually the coaches.
Right. I
So it's
was
like
just gonna say that.
we
It's a
could
lot
say
tougher.
we could say all this about that. And honestly, like we should talk about it and talk about like their prior history. We have no idea how the fuck that's gonna happen until we see it, and it sucks to say it, but
Yeah, basically that's it. I mean, it's also tougher. Just baseball is such an
individual.
individualistic sport that it's tough for a coach to come in and be like, "Hey, this is my thing. This is
Yeah.
what we're gonna do," type of thing. But again, Jeff Albert has a website that about hitting, which I took a peek at. Again, very analytical, very data driven. A lot of like biomechanics stuff that personally I don't really understand. So I'm gonna let the
Which
professionals deal with it. And the fact that they're looking at that stuff gives me a good feeling.
I like that because I feel like one thing is, and it may not be 10 years, but it feels like hitting analytics are like 10 years behind pitching analytics.
Yeah.
You know what
At
I
least
mean?
like in quantifiable numbers.
That's
Because
what
I feel
in the way that
yeah,
it's talked about, in the way that it's shown, it feels like we know nothing about hitting analytics compared to pitching
yeah,
analytics.
yeah, yeah, for
So it
sure.
would be
For
very
sure.
because I think it's so it's so much more case by case. I feel like with hitters in a weird way. Because at least with
Yeah.
pitchers, you could look at another pitcher and look at how they throw X pitch, be like, oh, just throw it like this person. Like literally,
Right.
Sean Manaea, the whole reason he became so good is because he copied Chris Sale.
Right.
You know what I
You
mean?
can bucket them.
Yeah.
You could do it by arm angle, you could do it by extension, you could do it by pitch type, you could do it by pitch, what's it called? Repertoire.
Rhetoric.
Like you could just bucket
Movement.
them
Yeah.
easier. Movement. Hitters is a little tougher. Like I feel like we're getting there over this past year because you have the intercept point and the batting stance and this attack angle. Things on the new stuff on Baseball Savant, we're kind of on the way there, but even then, like it's tougher to group hitters into that when I feel like it's easier to group pitchers into that.
Yeah.
But I digress. That was coaching staff. Mets still need to fill in third base coach and pitching coach and bullpen coach and wherever else they feel necessary. So going on to season grades for the players. We're gonna start off with position players. Gonna go in order of WAR and with some switched around for convenience matters. So starting off with your Mets leader in WAR, of course, Francisco Lindor, 6.3 WAR season. He hit 267, 346 on base, a 466 slug, for a 129 weighted runs created, plus another 30-30 season. If it wasn't for his bad back last year, that'd be 3 straight 30-30 seasons. 31 home runs, 31 stolen bases, 117 runs scored.
I did not realize his WAR was that high.
Neither did I, if I'm going to be completely honest. But with that being said, hey, Francisco Lindor just, kind of consistent as he can be. It's going to be a 6 WAR season. You're going to get 30-some home runs, get 25, 30 stolen bases, around a 130 WRC plus. He was good. I mean, the only thing was when he broke his toe, he was pretty bad for about a month, 3 weeks to a month, and that was pretty rough. But overall, the body of work, again, a 6 WAR season. I don't know where that ranks in the league. I'm sure it's still top 10.
Pretty high up there.
Yeah, 130 WRC plus, 30-30. Good stuff all around. 72nd percentile in fielding run value, 90th percentile in outs above average with +5. That is the lowest of his career.
In
So when it comes to
in
go ahead.
MLB, he was 9th. In the National League, he was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th.
5th.
Only
That sounds about right.
Only behind Ohtani, Perdomo, Trey Turner,
Crazy.
and Corbin Carroll.
Good group.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what you're gonna get from Lindor. You top 10 player in the game, good defense, one of the better offensive shortstops. But with that being said, like lowest of the worst defensive season of his career, which again is still an above average season, but he's gone from elite to now good.
Yeah.
Which isn't bad, but there are a little bit of concerns for the future. Like I mentioned, the defense took a step back. The bat speed took a step back. He is on the wrong side of 30. You could just tell by watching him on the field. It just seemed like he lost a step just a little bit. He didn't get to some balls that he probably would have. He didn't make plays that he probably should have. So, again, he's still an above average shortstop, just not elite anymore.
I'm going to say something, and I think this can be taken the wrong way, but don't. How much of that do you think is the vibes? Because there are times where unintentionally guys may play a little bit worse when, like, there's not as many. And I'm not saying Lindor is one of these guys, but I'm just saying overall guys play better when there's better vibes. How much do you think is, like, he's still trying his ass off, but there's just kind of like that little thing missing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be fair to say. I think that's what it felt like for the entire season, for the entire team. It just felt like something was missing. Maybe he was pressing, maybe because of how they struggled in the summer, he kind of took that into the field a little bit. He also had the broken toe, so maybe that has something to do with it as well. But, I think that's fair. I wouldn't put a large amount of stock into it.
I'm not.
But yeah, no, I wouldn't disregard that, I guess is where I'm getting at. But this opens up a discussion for, because he's 30, we're gonna be 33, 32, something like that.
He is 31 and 11 months and 1 day old.
So he's gonna be 32 in a month. I think that's like the oldest starting shortstop, if I'm not wrong.
Sounds
and this begs the question of how many more years of Lindor at shortstop do you have? And when do you start consider, maybe we move him to second base? I don't think that's now, because again, he's still above average shortstop. But, with David Stearns kind of pounding the table for better defense, when does that discussion happen? When does that start to be like, hey, you know, it might be better for the team to put you at second base, and maybe you have somebody, hypothetically, like Jet Williams, who is a natural shortstop, to play shortstop, and Francisco Lindor plays second base. Again, I don't think that's now, but I do think it's fair to start the discussion.
There are a couple of older shortstops, by the way.
There are. Okay.
What's his face? Trey Turner is older.
Trey Turner is older?
By like 8 months.
Oh, okay.
Depends if you want to consider him a shortstop. Mookie Betts, Xander
Right. Okay.
Bogaerts. How old's JP Crawford? No, Crawford's younger. I don't know
Yeah.
about Story, but yeah,
I
just
think
kind of.
Story's younger as well.
No, Story's older by a year.
Really?
One
Okay.
364 days. So yeah,
But
but you get the idea. There
yeah,
are older shortstops. There may be like one
right.
more, but I'm not gonna. It's not that important.
Yeah. And then, I will say the argument against the whole moving to second base thing is Trey Turner has never been known for his glove. He's never been like a great defensive shortstop. And all of a sudden this year he was one of the better defensive shortstops, and he had the best defensive season of his career. So maybe it was just a bad year. But, with some of the declining, the bat speed, the sprint speed is, about the same, but it lost a tick. And just watching him, it just seems like he lost a little something. But again,
Could just be one of those
I'm not.
things.
Yeah. So
Because when
again,
he break his toe again,
beginning of June,
that could also just be it. That yeah, he lost.
right?
It seems like he's lost a
He
tick. Huh? He only has
Because
9
he lost
working
a toe,
toes. Yeah,
right? Which that completely,
and I'm
that could be
sure
it.
it's hard to heal a toe while you're playing at an
Consistently using
incredibly
it,
high level. Yeah.
yeah. But again, another 6-4 season, another 30-30 season. Francisco Lindor, just you did your part, honestly. Hey, moving on. The big man himself, $765 man,
Only?
Juan Soto, $1 million man. Juan Soto, 5.8 WAR season. He hit 263 for 396 on base, a 525 slug for a 156 WRC plus. Career high 43 home runs. Career high 38 stolen bases. 120 runs scored. 105 RBI. Hey, only reason it's not an A plus. Just wish he got off to a better start. The body of work is great. Still one of the best hitters in the sport. But that first month or so was just like you knew he was gonna break out of it. You just knew it was a matter of time, but it was still kind of just like come on, give me more.
I think and this is splitting hairs, but I think I would argue for A minus just because of
Okay.
defense plus his numbers with runners in scoring position compared to prior years. Again, that could be
I will say he finished. I would check them again because he
mm,
finished having really good numbers somehow with runners in scoring
okay,
position. He
fair.
got off to a bad start and just caught fire for the rest of the
Mhm.
way. But yeah, defense for sure.
Because I will say, the over under we had was 6.45 WAR, and you took the
Right.
over. He was at
Fair.
5.8. So I feel like you
Yeah.
expect that 6 to 6.5 from him, especially at this point. So again, it also is splitting hairs, but
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. But 40 career high in home runs. When I really didn't think he was a 40 home run guy, I thought he was just going to be a 30 to 35 guy, and that's perfectly fine. But career high in home runs, the stolen bases.
wasn't this
Where
also
the
the
hell did
lowest
that
on
come
base of
from?
his career? I want to say
Uh,
I'll look that up now, but I'm pretty sure it was.
I have his stats up now, so let me. Yes, it would be the lowest of his career, but still, it would his 156 WRC plus is kind of like an average year. I mean, when all said and done, we basically got an average year for Juan Soto.
It's crazy that was the lowest on base of his career, but he led the league in it, and led the National League in it.
I need like a on base percentage plus.
According
So
to Baseball Reference, he led the National League in on base
so I mean, take that for what you will.
and stolen bases.
He led the National League in stolen bases.
When it's like bolded out, that means he's led the league, right?
Yeah,
He led the National
it
League
should
in
say it
stolen
too.
bases, walks, and on base.
That's crazy. But again, Juan Soto, like it's just an average year for him, and he still had a very, very good year. And that's kind of like where I'm at. But I really don't have much else to say about him. I
Yeah.
think the defense we obviously knew was going to be very below average, which it was. And you live with that because that's just Juan Soto.
Hit ball far.
He hit ball far and he get on base and he scored run.
I will say, you would think it would improve a little bit based off just you think like the base stealing, more athletic. You would think, and I do think the base
I
stealing
mean,
is part of him just looking more at pitchers and looking more at tells than anything
yeah,
else. But you still think there would be a little bit better defense just because of that, and he seems to be more athletic than he was in years past. But
yeah.
again, splitting hairs.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The other thing I forgot to write down, but I will mention, the bat speed was down as well overall, went from 75.4 to 73.6. And something I forgot to mention as well with Eric Chavez, and it kind of goes together. A lot of guys on this team saw their bat speed decrease, which might be more of a product of the hitting philosophy, because bat speed is also just a byproduct of when you make contact with the ball. Because if you're letting the ball travel, you're making contact later, meaning you don't have as much time to swing the bat. Therefore, it's not gonna travel like the acceleration, like it hasn't hit
Not as
its
much time to
peak.
accelerate.
Right. So it hasn't hit its peak. So there is some nuance there. Like I don't think at 26 years old, Juan Soto is losing bat speed.
Yeah.
I think this is just a byproduct of the hitting philosophy, and it could be the same thing for Lindor as well, who I mentioned. But yeah, the defense was bad, obviously. Would I like it to be better? Of course. But he's not there for his defense.
And somehow he
So,
was not ranked as the worst defensive Met.
but it's Pete.
Pete Alonso is
Yeah.
worse by 0.6.
Yeah, he's rough. But at the end of the day, he's really good. He's really fucking
Damn,
good.
I was giving you a perfect
So, hey,
transition.
sorry. Moving on to the worst defensive Met.
There we go.
Pete Alonso, 3.6 WAR season. He hit 272 for 347 on base, a 524 slug, 141 WRC plus, 38 home runs, 126 RBI. A. Good year all around. I really don't have much to say on Alonso. He had a good year, good bounce back year. You know, he had some pretty like 2 bad months. I think his May was awful and his July was below average. But besides that, he was really good throughout. He performed a lot better with men on base and runners in scoring position. A lot of the under the hood stuff ticked up, hard hit rate, barrel rate, his bat speed went back up, expected weight on base, expected batting average, expected slug. He improved in nearly every facet of that. Now, like you mentioned, this was probably the straw that broke the camel's back when it came to defense. This is his worst year defensively. And you saw it, you felt it as a fan, I think. He cannot be a full-time first baseman. He was the worst rated first baseman in the league, on top of being the worst on the team. He had a -9 outs above average, a -8 fielding run value. look, whether it's fair or not, because at the end of the day, it was Senga's hamstring that strained. But if you make a better throw, maybe that doesn't happen. I'm not blaming Pete per se because I think that's unfair. But, you know, it's avoidable if he can make better throws, which I'm not sure how much outs above average put into that, but his throws
I don't
to
think it has
pitchers,
much, if
yeah,
any,
because I
because
know outs
that's
above
all
average is more
range,
of a
right?
range
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. So his throws to pitchers covering first were awful. They were, the Senga injury coming to mind, the Yankee Stadium game, the last Subway Series where he just threw the ball away. A game in, I believe it was DC, Ryan Stanek's coming first base, completely overthrew him. There was a few games where his throwing, I don't want to say cost the Mets the game because if you're playing that tight, and it is a pretty big error, but definitely did not help. If not cost the game. So if that being said, I do want to take this as a moment to talk about his free agency because he is opting out. We already got a report from the New York Post. He's seeking a 7-year deal. Oh, Scott Boras wants him to get a 7-year deal. Oh, color me shocked. Not happening.
So you're paying until 38.
Yeah, not happening. But you got to shoot up to 7 so you can get 4.
I was gonna say 5, but
Yeah. Like I mentioned before, if he comes back, I do think he will have to DH a lot more. And I do think that might be a very, very important part of the discussion with the Mets being we want you back. We like your offense. We like you as a player. You cannot be playing 162 games at first base.
I was gonna say, does that? And I know you're more so talking about defensively, but does
Mhm.
how much he play concern you at all?
Like 162?
Because he has played a shit ton of games. And going
Yeah.
back to his rookie year, 161, then 57 in the COVID year, so that's pretty much full season.
Yeah.
152, 160, 154, 162, 162. Does that concern you at all that he's played so much? Literally, he's played every day, and you hear a lot about first baseman just declining quickly, and that he's played so much that that may accelerate that. Or
I don't, I would say no.
okay,
Majority no.
I would lean
Just
that way too,
because
but
first base is such a I don't want to say
taxing.
strenuous or like, yeah, it's not as taxing as literally any other position on the field, right? And that's not a slight to first baseman. They control a lot of the game. They got to catch everything, right? But it's such not a non-taxing position
Mm.
that that's why you have the big boys play first base, right? You know,
Hell, Carlos
credit Josh,
Santana's still playing.
yeah, credit to Josh Naylor, who's an average first baseman, big boy. Like Carlos Santana, big boy. Daniel Vogelback, big boy. Prince Fielder, big boy.
Maybe not the guy you want to put as an example of staying
Decline.
healthy though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but still. Fact of the matter is, it's such a non-taxing position that if you're gonna play 162 games of a position, I think you're gonna want to play
Yeah.
first base.
I was just curious if you I
Yeah,
don't think it will either, but yeah, this year 160 games at first, 2 at DH.
right.
So,
So he barely DH'd, and
which
look,
may
I
have hurt the
think,
team.
yeah, I mean, look, he's awful. He was one of the worst defenders in baseball. He was genuinely awful. Like, there's really no way to sugarcoat it. You can say, oh, he scoops, he has good scoops, he picks out of the dirt well. That's great and everything, but he provides you nothing defensively. His scoops do not outweigh how bad he is on the field. So I think if he does come back, which I hope he does, we're gonna see him DH a lot more. And the issue with that is he has stated publicly on numerous occasions he does not like to DH. That I think like he has trouble staying in the game. He has, it's a difficult
Guys talk about that.
switch.
You're
Yeah,
used to being involved every day, but now instead you're sitting on the bench and waiting an hour till the next time you could play.
right. Starling Marte talked about it this year. It was the first time in his career that he was basically a primary DH, and it took him a while to get into a rhythm. So, look, I think, and it would be smart of the Mets to want more DH time out of Pete Alonso, but I think it would be a good idea for them to do that. It's just a matter if Pete is willing to do that, and it's not gonna be on a 7-year deal.
And it's also a thing of
That I can tell you for
how much
sure.
do you think he gets a year?
30 max, which is what he got this year.
I'm gonna go on the higher end of the contract. I'm just gonna
Sure.
say 5 at 30 a year.
Nope.
I know it's not gonna happen, but I'm just saying at the high level.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying it's not gonna happen. I wouldn't do that.
Oh, okay. But I'm just saying,
Yeah,
let's just say he gets 5 150, so it's 30 a year. Would you really want to spend that much on a guy that's probably going to be a near full time DH in year 2 or 3 of that?
right. He's
You know
he's
what I
not
mean?
Otani. He's not Schwarber. I think
Even
whatever
what Schwarber
Schwarber's
got 20 a year.
right, but this is now 4 years of continued success. So I think depending what the Phillies pay Schwarber, because I don't think he's leaving Philadelphia. I think whatever Schwarber gets is gonna be a good indicator of about the range of where Alonso
Yeah.
should be getting.
All right. I don't know why the Phillies did this, but they really gave Schwarber 479. You're cheaping
Oh,
on that 1 million. That
yes.
1 million. Just give me a round number, dude. But
Cheapskates.
yeah, I definitely think that will
Money break.
give an idea of where Pete's contract will be.
For sure. And then from that, you can add a smidge because he's probably going to play first base a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But he should be, ideally, it's probably 60-40 DH. Realistically, probably 60-40 first base,
Yeah.
which I think is still an upgrade, addition by subtraction. The less he plays first base, the better.
Yeah.
But that was a lot of ragging on him. Again, he had a really good year. 38 home runs, 126 RBI, 141 WRC plus, one of the better years of his career. And he set himself up going back into free agency. So good for him. I
And
hope things work out, but we'll
two
have a lot of time to talk about it.
two quick
Go ahead.
things. Don't think they're gonna matter too much, but this was the lowest walk rate he had this year and the highest BABIP by 25 points.
Yes, I did. Yeah, you know what? Good
So
point.
I'm
Good
not
point.
sure that's gonna matter much because all the other numbers looked really good, but just
Yeah.
something to keep in the back of your head that he was getting luckier with balls put in play than he has in years past, or they were
Right. And
becoming hits more often. That's a better way to
I
put
think,
it.
yeah. I think the other thing too is you can argue the past 2 years before 2025, he was getting unlucky.
Definitely 23. Definitely
Yeah,
23.
yeah, 2023 205, 2024, what was that,
279. I
276?
thought. Oh right, it's 276.
Yeah, 276. So, there is some volatility with that, but yeah, we'll have a lot more time to talk about Alonso, but I gave him an A. Good year. He was not the problem.
No.
Moving on.
Now is where it starts to get tenuous.
Yes. Starting off with Brandon Nimmo, who had a flat 3-WAR season, hit 262, 324 on base, 436 slug, a 114 WRC plus, career high 25 home runs, and a career high 92 RBIs. Painfully average defense. I'm shocked he graded out as basically average. Because whenever a ball, and Mets fans, I hope I'm not the only one that feels this. Whenever a ball is hit into the left field corner, my heart just sinks because Brandon Nimmo looks like the slowest human being running to get that ball in the corner. And then he has such a noodle arm that when he throws it in, it's barely anything. Ugh. It hurts to talk bad about Brandon Nimmo, but bat speed was down, like I said. You okay?
Yeah.
Bat speed was down. Again, that was like a team-wide thing. So that might be more of a byproduct of approach. He struggled against fastballs, which is not good for a 30-year-old or 32-year-old, however old he is.
32 in 6 months. So he will be 33 either on opening day or like a month into the season.
Right. Yeah. So with that being said, I gave him a C plus. Look, a 114 WRC plus, a 3 WAR season is valuable. But this just isn't the Brandon Nimmo that the Mets signed for what, 7 years?
8. I was about to say
Oof.
that
8
there is
years.
5 more years left on this contract.
And that's the concern.
That 20 years at 20 million. I don't know if it's back. I'll look right now if it's backloaded and what that
Yeah.
looks like, but
Still 20 million is it when that was signed, the value was good. The issue was always going to be years for Brandon Nimmo. And I think we're starting to feel the weight of those years now because you see this, you're like, all right, 3 WAR, 114 WRC plus. That's like Ian Happ numbers. That's not a slight to Ian Happ. Ian Happ is a solid, consistent left fielder for the Cubs.
but he's
But
not
Ian
getting
Happ
paid
is
this
not.
much.
Ian Happ does not have an 8-year, $162 million deal attached to him.
Really quickly on the contract, first year was 18.5, every other year is 20.5.
Okay.
So it's not from here on out, it's the same exact 20.5 for the last 5 years.
Right. And Brandon Nimmo is just, he's like, I don't know who Brandon Nimmo is anymore.
That's
right?
the issue.
The first couple years, or the first majority of his career, is consistently a 14 walk percent guy, high on base, one of the top in the league. But since 2023, he's had 3 20+ homer seasons after his previous career high was 16. So you saw that switch to slug, and I don't think it was necessarily a bad switch, but I'm just shocked that he just doesn't walk anymore. That his on base just isn't what it used to be. So I might be harsh with a C plus, but again, Ian Happ puts up a 3 WAR 115 WRC plus in his sleep.
I think the contract plus and it may not be fair to grade this based off how it looks for the future, but the future outlook, I think you could
Not
even make an
good.
argument with C. If you wanted to think about the numbers declining,
Yeah.
I don't see how you could give him a B minus. Like I don't see how the letter
No.
can start with a B.
No.
Frankly, just for
Again,
how he should be performing, how all the numbers, all the it'd be different if all the under the hood numbers were the same. But when they're consistently starting to decline, you're gonna be 33.
yeah. And you look at his Savant and you look at the under the hood numbers, and it's a lot of gray, which is just average. I mean, look, he had, I think, the highest hard hit rate of his career. He had the highest average exit velocity of his career, so that's great. He's still hitting the ball
But for
hard,
some
but it's just
guys, that may not be a recipe for success for their profile, for their swing.
right. So genuinely, I don't know what to do with Brandon Nimmo. He's gonna be on this team. There has been some talk, not like official talk, but kind of fans talking. Should they look to trade him?
Where
And sure, exactly. Who's gonna
who's
take on
take
that
that like
contract?
if you're trading him, you have to take on at least 50% of that contract. And you
Right,
really want to
and
have $10 million in just dead money because you trade him with $10 million attached, you maybe get a team's what 17th ranked prospect.
if that,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So you're
So
really willing.
I didn't.
You'd rather have a team 17th prospect and $10 million in dead money for the next 5 years than just hoping something can happen with Brandon Nimmo to fix it.
Yeah.
But
So yeah. Again, if he performs like this, that's fine. You know, if he's going to be a 3-WAR 115 WRC plus guy, that's fine. But that adds the necessity for another bat in that lineup, I think. Like, this isn't a guy who should be hitting fourth on your team. You know,
Especially if you lose Pete.
right?
Especially.
If you lose Pete, you have to do a lot to fix this offense, unless you're going to go full throttle, run prevention. You know, Warriors going to play really good fucking defense,
You
and
may have to
maybe
send out a charter flight to Japan to steal 2 players, but
right.
and even
So
then, your defense is not getting much better. It's getting
yeah,
worse.
so it's gonna be really interesting to see what they want to do with that. But look, I think Brandon was valuable. I wish he was, more of the 130 WRC plus guy that we saw from, 2019 to 2022. So with that being said, C plus. I hope to see improvements. Really, it's really about it. And hopefully he could play some better defense because left field is just, again, painfully average. But turn around, talk about some good. Brett Beatty, 2.3 WAR. He hit 254, 313 on base, a 435, slug 111 WRC plus. After he got recalled on May 7th, his slash line went up to 263, a 324 on base, a 448 slug, a 117 WRC plus. Career high in games played, home runs, and most counting stats because of those games played. Defense, good at third base, 2 outs above average there. Serviceable at second base, -1 outs above average there. B for Brett Beatty. I think he has definitely written his name in pencil to be the opening day third baseman.
I think he's the definition of a B half plus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because B plus seems too high, but B seems too low.
Yeah. Just
In that
somewhere
weird
in the
in
middle.
between, but
Yeah, I mean, look, it's just very happy for the person, first of all. He's gone through a lot, struggling since basically 2023. I'm glad to see he's had some run of success, and under the hood looks good. 64th percentile average exit velocities, 80th in barrel, 72nd in hard hit rate. Bat speed is up there. A lot of the stuff looks good. I hope we can keep on improving because what we saw this year was very, very promising. He doesn't need to be, you know, yes, he was a top ranked prospect, but he doesn't need to be like a top of the order bat. If Brett Beatty is hitting sixth, seventh, and he's going to hit 20 to 25 home runs a year, for 115, 120 WRC plus, that's valuable, especially with the level of defense he plays at third base. Like, he got hurt at that first game in Miami at the end of the season, and like that was the dagger. It felt like. So I'm just so happy for Brett Beatty. Uh, Obviously, I've been pulling for him for a while now. Super happy to see him have some success, and I hope he can build on it going into 2026 because I do think he has put himself in the position to be the opening day third baseman. I don't know if you have anything else on Beatty, but that's really all I had.
good. I don't know what the term you would use for not. I mean, bounce back, coming out party. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Introduction, reintroduction. You know,
he just finally had some sustained success. Really, I mean, like yes, it's a bounce back, but like really, this is the
good
most
stepping
games he's
stone.
ever played.
Let's say that. Good stepping stone.
Absolutely, good stepping stone. Hope he can improve because
Because
I
I
think he
don't
could be
think
very
you're
valuable.
happy if Brett Beatty, this is like what he is.
Yes and no. I mean, I think you're probably a little disappointed because of how he
Yeah.
was perceived
Let's
as a
say you're not
prospect.
completely satiated if this is what he
Right.
turns out to be.
But look, if he's going to be a 3-WAR 115 WRC plus third baseman for 5 years, 4 or
That's
5
better.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
then
was
I
just
think
looking
you're
at the
happy with it.
2.3. But if
Yeah, well,
you're getting up
he
to
only
3,
played
yeah.
130 games, and 30 of those games he was god awful.
Yeah.
I wish I had like the pace stats once he was recalled, but I don't. So whatever. That's all I had of Brett Beatty. So moving on to his partner at second base, Jeff McNeil.
Not only second base.
2.1 WAR. He hit 243, a 335 on base, a 411 slug. Justin, do you think his WRC plus was higher or lower than Brett Beatty's for the year?
I know the answer because I'm looking at it right now.
You're
It
looking at
is
it.
exactly the same.
Exactly the same. I will say, Jeff McNeil's September was fucking dog shit. So before September, he had a near 800 OPS for 124 WRC plus. Going into September, he had a 124 WRC plus, and he ended the season of 111.
That's not
He
good.
fucking sucked in September. He was unfortunately a really big part onto why they struggled down this stretch. And I love Jeff McNeil. He's my guy. So this pains me to rag on him, which is why I put the pre-September stuff, because I don't think the full picture does him justice for how good he was for a majority of the year.
I will also say he will be 34 next year to begin the year.
Yes, absolutely. We'll get to that. The utility man. 4 outs above average at second base, -2 outs above average in the outfield with 209 innings.
How many
in center
positions do you think
field.
he played?
5.
6.
Fuck.
Second,
What?
center, left, right, first.
Second. That's 5.
DH is also on there. My bad.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Whatever.
I accidentally
you
counted DH, so 5.
Yeah. But yeah, he had like an inning at first base or whatever.
2 games.
But again, utility man. Excellent. If this is your utility guy, you're very happy with it.
Yeah.
He had the highest pull rate of his career, and most importantly, the highest pull air rate of his career. He pulled his fly balls like every player should, or most of them should. He didn't strike out, and he walked at a good clip. The issue is a $15 million utility man is probably not ideal. So like you said, he's gonna be 33, right?
34.
He's gonna be 34. So he's gonna be 34 in 2026. He has 1 year left on his contract with a club option after the end of 2026. So it begs the question, Justin, is Jeff McNeil gonna be on the Mets next year?
I'd say so. I think.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I
won't be shocked either way. I won't be surprised either way. But
I think that's fair. I think well, here's the thing, right? $15 million for a 34-year-old second baseman who's solid at second base and above average at the plate. What's that going to get you? And you trade him. Sure. Who plays second base?
Yeah.
Brett Beatty? Who, was fine.
Luis Angel Acuna.
No. He probably shouldn't be on this team either. Jet Williams, I don't think is going to get the job right out of spring training. So I think Jeff McNeil provides more to the Mets rather than what he will provide in a trade. Because look, you let him play out your contract and you just don't bring him back next year. Or Jet Williams goes off in the first half. Trade him at the deadline and call up Jet Williams. I think I would need to do a deeper dive into the second base market, but given the fact that he is still a good defensive second baseman, the fact that he can play the outfield, the fact that he can kind of fake it in center field is just so valuable that I don't think I'm ready. I think I just need one last hurrah from Jeff McNeil before I'm ready to say goodbye. So with that being said, I don't think I said it. I gave Jeff McNeil a B for 2025.
Yeah.
Maybe a B minus because of how bad that September was.
It is a B plus, maybe an A minus before September.
I think, you know what? Fair enough. Yeah,
But
you
you
know
gotta
what?
look at the full body of work.
Yeah, if he ended the year with an 800 OPS, a 125 WRC plus, I think that would probably be a B plus.
Yeah.
So fair enough. Next up's your boy, Francisco Alvarez. 76 games. 1.8 WAR. He hit 256, 339 on base, 447 slug, a 124 weighted runs created plus. Tale of two halves. He returned from his hamate bone injury on April 25th. From then on, until he got demoted to AAA in the middle of June, he had a 90 weighted runs created plus, and he made a ton of mental mistakes. He then had the month-long AAA stint and came back in July, where from that until the end of the season, he had a 157 weighted runs created plus, a 500 slugging percentage, and walked 10% of the time.
Do you know how old he is?
He's 23.
What? That doesn't make sense, dude.
That is why a lot of Mets fans need to take a step back and realize what Francisco Alvarez has been able to do.
If you like Brett Beatty and you like what he's come back from, he is more than 2 years older than Francisco Alvarez. I think it's like 2 years, like 25, 26 months, roughly.
I'm going to double check myself for this, but when Cal Riley, whatever, was 23
Dumper.
years old, when the big dumper was 23 years old, I don't believe he played a single game at AAA.
Ooh, that's a bad typo.
What?
I spelled Fangraphs without the N. Ooh, that was a bad typo.
Anyways.
He was not in the majors at 23.
Yes. Cal Riley reached AAA at 24 years old. Francisco Alvarez completed his third season at 23 years old in the major leagues.
It was his fourth season, quote unquote, in the majors.
Yeah, he came up in 2022 for like 5 games.
Let's just make the argument, though.
Sure, even more so. This guy went through so much this year. The hamate bone, the UCL in his thumb, and then a broken pinky. And he still went through, pushed through. I know. Let's not understate how well he took the demotion to AAA. Like, that could ruin a guy.
That would ruin a lot. That would ruin a lot of guys.
But he could have just taken that and kind of just like hung his head, and that might have been it for Francisco Alvarez. But he worked his ass off. He changed his swing. He changed his stance. He went off in AAA. He came back, and he was one of the best hitters in baseball since he came back from AAA. But with that being said, his defense did take a step back. The blocks were still not great. The framing was definitely not as good as it was. I'm willing to give him a pass because he was working with about 5 working fingers. So,
at what point is he just cursed?
Yeah, I know.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, at what point do we just say, like, he is cursed?
I really hope this lawnmower isn't picking up.
I don't hear it now.
Perfect. But for all that being said, I gave him a B minus. It's not a full season's body of work. He was pretty bad for about 2 months, and then he was really good for 2 months. And the defense took a step back. With
And
all things being said, I gave him a B minus.
are you done talking about him?
Please stay healthy. Now I'm done.
At what point do you consider playing him more at DH? Just because of the next guy, Luis Torrens, that we're going to talk about.
Uh, that's a good question. They did start doing that a smidge at the end of the season.
He only
Maybe they do it a little more.
why
What?
is this being dumb though? From what I was, unless I clicked on the wrong guy, Alvarez only DH'd one time last year.
Yes, they did it once, I think, in Chicago. It might have been in Miami. But I think that's fair to say because Luis Torrens is a Gold Glove nominee. He's one of the best defensive catchers in baseball. Unfortunately, he can't hit.
Billy, this is
But
Luis Torrens.
yeah, one of the best defensive catchers in baseball.
Cannot make contact with the baseball.
He doesn't know how to hit. Well, you know what? To
I
be
mean,
fair,
the under the
he
hood
does know
numbers
how to hit.
aren't bad.
But the issue is, and I really hope that Jeff Albert can help with this, he doesn't know how to pull the ball. I
Oh my
swear, if
god,
this guy
dude.
could pull the ball, because a big reason why he's underperforming all this stuff is he just cannot not go to right center field.
How many home runs do you think were on the left side of the field?
0.
One. And it was right down the line. Everything else was to the right side of center.
Yeah.
He has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 extra base hits to the left side that left the infield.
Just he needs if he can learn how to pull, he can be if he can learn how to pull, I think the discussion for Alvarez DHing becomes a whole lot easier because then you have 2 above average hitters in the lineup. Because right now he's still a below average hitter. No matter how the numbers can look great as much as they want. The under the hood stuff, he hits the ball hard, that's great. But at the end of the day,
Still
he had
got
a 79 weighted runs created plus on the year. He had a sub 300 on base, sub 400 slug. If he can be an above average hitter and continue this defense, then I think you can have I think that discussion becomes more prominent because
Go a
then
little closer to your mic.
lengthens the lineup. That just lengthens the lineup.
Okay. I cuz my only thing is, and it's not Alvarez's fault, but at least DHing him a little bit more, there's less bullshit that can go his way.
I get, but I mean, nothing came from catching.
Yeah. That's the annoying part. You get
Right.
it if it comes from catching, the most physically demanding position, but it's like running, sliding,
Hitting, swinging the bat. The hamate bone happened because he was swinging the bat.
At what point do you DH for Alvarez? Like have the pitcher have the pitcher hit so that way he can't get hurt running the. No, I'm kidding. I'm clearly kidding, but
But yeah, like none of his injuries came from behind the plate.
so weird.
The hamate bone was swinging, the UCL was running, the pinky was batting. So it just sucks.
You
But
mentioned he got surgery, right?
yes, he is getting surgery on that UCL. So there is that. But going back to Luis Torrens, full body work, 1.6 WAR, 226 average, 284 on base, 345 slug, 79 WRC plus on the year. Like I mentioned, a Gold Glove nominee. He catches everybody stealing. It's Patrick Bailey's award to lose, but I'm so glad he's getting some recognition because watching this guy behind the plate is such a treat. With that being said, he was thrusted into a starting role for a majority of the year. So with that, I'm giving him a B plus. Because this is a backup catcher in an ideal world who was thrusted into the starting catcher role. And for the most part, That first month before Alvarez came back, he was good. That I think that 2-ish weeks or so we lost Alvarez because of the UCL injury, he was good as well. So he stepped up when he needed to. He's not the dad. What's the fuck? What's that thing? It's like I'm not the stepdad. I'm the dad that stepped up.
Yeah, yeah,
Whatever.
yeah, yeah.
That's Luis Torrens. But moving on from Luis Torrens, he's gonna go a little quicker until one guy. Tyrone Taylor, I gave a C. Again, another guy thrust into a starter's role. You kind of know what you're getting. He can't really hit.
Injuries.
Yeah, some injuries, elite defense. He's the perfect fourth outfielder. I would just love if we can use him as such
Yeah.
because we keep starting him. Moving on to Starling Marte, who basically became the DH for the most part for this team. He played 98 games, a 270 average, 335 on base, a 410 slug, a 112 WRC plus on the year. Thank you, Unc, because you're probably not coming back. But he finished his Mets tenure at least on a good note. He came up huge in a few spots, but he kind of just withered at the end, unfortunately. So with that being said, I gave him a B, given the expectations, given the amount of playing time he kind of sort of didn't really get. That's where we're getting. All right. Next up, the most disappointing player, Mark Vientos. 0.4 WAR, a 233 average, a 286 on base, 413 slug, a 97 WRC plus. He had one good month. He was awful in the field. He was very, very disappointing. With that, I'm giving him a D. Very disappointing. And I think something else that I really didn't like from Mark Vientos was the attitude. The body language just didn't look good for most of the year. Kind of like pouting, hanging your head, stuff like that. Just not something I really want to see from a young player like Vientos. And after his 2024, I thought maybe we had something good. And I think it was fair, and I did expect some regression, just not this hard. I thought it was going to go from like a 130 WRC plus to 115.
The
Not a
only
below average hitter.
the only player with a lower walk rate on the Mets this year than Mark Vientos was Hayden Sanker
Who is the third string catcher
and played
from Whole
33
Foods.
games, had 78 plate appearances.
Right. So just really wasn't a good year. There's not much to say about Mark Vientos. I'm not sure where he fits into this roster next year.
Who had more stolen bases between him, Luis Torrens, and Pete Alonso?
Pete Alonso.
They all had one.
Damn. But yeah, I'm not sure where he fits in next year. I think that's a bigger discussion, and probably a discussion I'd rather save for another time.
Can I
But
say one little
I was
note
gonna
on it?
say, yeah, go ahead.
I think the biggest path to playing time is if you don't resign Pete. I'll leave it at that.
Absolutely, I agree. I agree because he can't field, he can't run, and if he can't hit, then what's the
And
point?
forget about it if for whatever reason they bring back Marte.
Yeah,
I don't
but
think they're going to, but
yeah. Right. Now the last position group I'm going to talk about, and then get into starters because I realize we have been going on for a bit. Acuna, Winker, Siri, Mullins. D plus F F F. F is mean to Winker. Maybe
yeah.
Winker gets like an incomplete because he was hurt for like 95% of the year. Siri broke his leg. That sucks, but he fucking sucks. Mullins, he fucking sucks. And Acuna,
In 16 games, Jose Siri had a negative 11 WRC plus.
whatever. Not even gonna bother.
Mullins was
Starting
better than
pitchers,
Acuna. I'll leave it at that.
not a high bar. Starting pitchers, David Peterson, 3.1 WAR, a 4.22 ERA, a 3.48 FIP, 160 innings, which is a career high, and led the team.
And Gold Glove finalist.
and glove finalist. Another tale of two halves, this time derogatory. A 3.06 ERA in the first half, a 6.34 ERA in the second half. I think he just got tired, honestly. I think the innings kind of caught up, and being a not overpowering type of pitcher, a more contact oriented pitcher, I think that just came back to bite him.
This was the
But
most innings he's thrown in a season by 47 and 2/3.
right,
Obviously,
so
last year he had the
a lot.
postseason, so he had 121 in the regular season, so it's probably closer to 140. But
Yeah,
still, even then, last year was his highest by the 11 innings.
right. Coming off a career high to then set another career
Career
high
high to
in a
another
shorter
career high.
span with 20 more innings. I mean, the funny thing is, a lot of the underlying stuff is better than last year.
So weird, yeah.
Yeah, so I think he's still a very valuable pitcher. He is entering his walk year with the Mets, but I still think he is a solid 3-4 in that rotation. So if that be said, I gave him a B minus
And I will do
because he was so
his
so good in the beginning,
and I
so
will
so
do
good.
the lineup every time he's pitching.
Yes, that's just how it goes. I have a little note here. Peterson had 3.1 WAR. No other starter eclipsed 2
And
wins above
I
replacement.
want the viewers and the listeners to guess what Mets starting pitcher had the second highest WAR on the team. You got it? No, you don't, because it's Clay Holmes.
Clay Holmes. But I'm going to go out of order because
Yeah.
I do want to talk about Nolan McLean first.
I just wanted to put it out there because what the fuck? But
Super quick on McLean. He gets an S. I don't care. What, 8 starts, I think?
A, yeah.
206 ERA, 297 FIP. This guy's fucking disgusting. The stuff is phenomenal. The poise is phenomenal. I'm so excited for a full year of him. He looked amazing. Nolan McLean gets an S. And if the Mets made the playoffs, there's no doubt in my mind he was starting game one, which is crazy to say.
And I also, outside of, I think, just Sean Mania, he had the lowest walk percentage on the team for a starter,
Even
with, I
better.
believe, the highest strikeouts for a starter. Yeah. So the second lowest walk per nine, or the second lowest walk percentage with the highest strikeout percentage from starters for the Mets.
It's a good formula.
Yeah.
Keep doing that.
Strike guys out, don't let them on base.
But moving on to the aforementioned Clay Holmes, 31 starts, 1.8 WAR, 161 innings, a 3.63 ERA, a 4.17 FIP.
If I told you before the season that Clay Holmes would lead the team in starts, what would you say?
Something went horribly wrong, and it did. But even with that fact, he was dependable. He had like that 1 month or month and a half where it was just kind of like a rough patch where he really couldn't get out of the fifth inning. But I think that was to be expected. But I think this was such a slam dunk for the first year, transitioning back into a starter. So if that being said, I'm giving him an A. I don't know if that's maybe like a little high, but 161 innings, a 3.6 ERA, like
353. I think it's
so
fair
so
just
good.
based off of expectations. I did not realize his strikeout percentage was that low, though. And again, that's obviously
Yeah,
not the whole story. But it is concerning to see a strikeout guy be at 18.2%. And again, became a starter, so he's not having as much velo. He's going to take a little couple ticks off to be able to give the 5 innings. So I
yeah.
agree A is fair, but just I really want to see where that is next year.
Same,
That's
same.
kind of the
That's
point that I'm getting to.
something I would like to tick up.
Yeah. Kind of with Nimmo in the sense of you get in a different sense of where they were based off expectations, but in a sense of you saw a concerning trend that you just want to see flipped.
Yeah, yeah. basically. Especially given that he still walks a little too many batters.
9.3%.
Right. Moving on to, I can't believe he's was third for an F4.
Ridiculous. This is I think maybe the most shocking one.
Tyler McGill.
Rest in
14
peace.
starts. Yeah, 14 starts, 3.95 ERA, a 3.43 FIP, a near 30% strikeout rate, and so it was the same old McGill. First 6 starts, a 1.74 ERA. The next 8 starts, 5.79, and then he blew up his elbow and he needs Tommy John. So B minus for Tyler McGill. He was really good, and then he wasn't. That's Tyler McGill. But imagine if the Mets had Tyler McGill, right? Imagine they had him in June, in
Now,
July.
what if I told you at the beginning of the year you said, "Imagine if the Mets had Tyler McGill," and it in a way of
Something went
wishing you.
horribly wrong. All right, I'm going to move on to the next guy because he needs some more discussion. Kodai Senga. 22 starts, 1.4 WAR, a 3.02 ERA. Good. 4.12 FIP. Wow. He was awful. I cannot stress this enough. He was so bad once he came back from that hamstring injury. 6.56 ERA after he returned. Holy crap. Now, the way he got his, league leading ERA in the first half, it was a lot of smoke and mirrors. The FIP was high, the expected ERA was high, the expected FIP was high. It was not a complete picture of how Kodai Senga was pitching, his ERA, I mean. But shit, if he's average once he comes back, if he's a 4 ERA guy when he comes back, different story.
I think the concerning part for me is looking at the strikeout percentage and the walk percentage compared to previous years. Cause that, and I know I've said kind of like those two numbers. Obviously, those two numbers aren't the end all be all, but the
Very important.
11.1 walk percentage in 2023, you're always like, okay, that's not really that feasible. But if you're striking out 29% of the guys, okay.
Who cares?
But if you're only striking out 22.5% of the guys and you're walking 11.5, that's not good because a thing strikeout minus walk percentage is kind of a stat that's becoming more popular, kind of like this
Yeah.
year especially.
And
18. Well, go on.
I was going to say really quick, from a statistical standpoint, it is still the most correlated to next year's ERA. There's no
Interesting.
other stat that correlates better to ERA than K minus walk rate.
Interesting. Well, in 2023, then Mets fans, close your ears. In 2023,
Yeah.
it was 18%. This year was 11.2. A 6.8%. For argument's sake, let's call it a 6.7 dip.
I'm leaving.
It was right there. I had to.
But no, yeah, not what you want. Really bad dip. And now you're kind of like, all right. At first, when, this is a cynical way to look at it, but he got hurt last year. It's like, all right, he can't opt out. We got Kodai Senga for 3 more years. All right.
Call an
Now,
ambulance.
now it's like, oh
But
my
not
God,
for
we still
me.
have Kodai Senga for 2 years.
Yeah.
Kodai Senga has 2 years left on his deal for $30 million. Could the Mets trade him? Maybe. Is that a contract that's movable? I would say so. $15 million a year.
Yeah.
But, and this is no disrespect to Kodai, because he knows his body better than anyone else. But does any other team want to deal with what the Mets have been dealing with Kodai Senga when it comes to his injuries?
Now, what if a
That's a
team
handful.
trades for Senga for nothing, but then they do a reverse Clay Holmes?
Make him a reliever.
Yeah.
I genuinely, I just don't think he would work well as a reliever.
Yeah.
Like, kind of getting to know,
His
quote unquote,
process.
yeah, it does not seem like a guy who would move into that role smoothly.
Yeah.
But his postseason
Become a
comments were also
reliever
not
and
great.
literally just be Tommy Canley, or it's literally just ghost fork, ghost
Forkball,
fork, ghost
forkball,
fork.
forkball.
That's
Yeah,
it.
that would be funny. But his after season comments were also not great, where he was kind of like, I need to build myself back up, or like I need to rebuild myself. And like his body didn't move the way he wants it to. What does that mean? That's scary. But the other concerning thing too is forget about, this was a thing even when he was pitching well, was his fastball was down a full mile an hour from 2023. He sat like 96, 95. This year it was more 93, 94. Or not like 94, 95, excuse me. That's enough. If you can throw 97, if you can max out on 97, that's way different than maxing out at 95.
He needs to take a book out of or a page out of DeGrom's book, honestly.
I guess. I don't know. I do think he'll be on this team next year because I generally don't know how you move them.
And I feel
And
like would what you get back even be worth the upside of what he could be?
probably not, because what, you trade Senga and then you sign, I don't know, call Zach Gallen to a 1 year deal. Call it like, how much of an upgrade is that
Well,
going to
even
be?
then, you trade Senga, you're probably eating a decent amount of that money.
15 a year?
Well,
I
I'm
don't
saying you're
think
probably
so.
eating like 5 million, and then say that you sign Gallon to 15, 20, because that's what fucking 1 year pitchers get. You're
Yeah.
essentially paying Zach Gallen $20 to $25 million this year. You know what I mean?
Eh,
When you look
1 year
at it,
deal
of you're trading away Senga to bring another
to
guy
get,
in, you're
yeah,
essentially paying that guy the money that you're eating on Senga as well.
right. But would bringing in that guy, you know, brings in more consistency and more dependability. Is that worth the offset?
I don't know.
Is exactly.
But
Is
it's
30
also a
starts
thing of, will that guy be more consistent?
right? Is 30 starts of, call it Zach Gallen, because we just keep using it. Is 30 starts of Zach Gallen going to be better than 20 starts of Kodai Senga?
Not last year's.
Not last year. I mean, maybe.
That's the crazy
So
part. It's so,
we'll have time to talk
yeah.
about it.
I don't know what the hell you do
But
with them.
yeah,
Let's
for
just leave it at that.
2025, I'm giving Kodai Senga a C because he was really good
I did
and it was
not think you were
really,
gonna
really
go that
bad.
high.
He was so good until he got hurt.
The way you were
We
talking
cannot
about that,
take.
I thought you
I
were gonna
know
be like
we
a D
cannot take that away
plus.
from him. I'm giving him a C because I just want him to succeed. He's just like a little guy. But moving along to Sean Manaea, 12 starts, 5.96 ERA, a 4.58 FIP. Keep in mind, like what I said about K minus walk rate, he had the highest of his career of about 23. Struck out 28% of the batters, only walked about 5. But he was really fucking bad when he got back from his oblique strain. There's really not much else to say about that. I'm giving Sean Manaea a D plus because I do think he got a little unlucky given all the underlying stuff. But
And
again,
let's also
he was
compare it to
awful.
last year. Home
Yeah,
run to fly ball percentage is a good thing because Shamanai is a guy, he does not get ground balls. He's one of the
yeah,
worst in baseball getting ground balls. It was 10.2% last year. Home run fly balls essentially mean that out of 10 fly balls, one was a home run. This year was 19.4, so essentially a 1 out of 5. So it doubled.
right. Yeah,
That is
and
not good.
not great.
And
But
even his underlying numbers, except for expected FIP, and FIP. His expected ERA isn't that far off from last year at
yeah,
3.74 to 4.
right. So I'm more confident, or at least I probably should be going into next year of Sean Manaea, him being healthy. He was still striking out a lot of guys. He wasn't walking a lot of guys. That's good for
Getting
future
that full
performance.
reset can be very
Yeah.
important.
Yes, absolutely. But D plus for Sean Manaea, another guy. If he was even average, maybe we're not doing this episode right now. And then to just round things out, Griffin Canning, A plus, rest in peace, King. Hope the Achilles recovery is going well for him. Blackburn and Frankie Montas, go find a job at Stop and Shop.
We'll pay you
Jonah
$18
Tong,
million to work at Stop and Shop.
yeah. Jonah Tong and Brandon Sproat, I gave an incomplete. Tong, we saw some good, saw some bad. Sproat got 4 starts. He looked fine.
That's fair.
Incomplete. Now to wrap things up, I'm just a few relievers. Edwin Diaz, A. 62 appearances, 163 ERA, 2.28 FIP, 38 strikeout percentage. He was good. Edwin Diaz. We still do not know his opt-out status. He probably does opt out, but there's a non-0% chance he doesn't. But I think he should be high on the list of priorities if he does. Because if you want run prevention, we said it before, having a lockdown closer helps a lot with run prevention. Because also, you don't re-sign Diaz. You're going to give Devin Williams a shot? Are you going to bring back Ryan Helsley? So, Brooks Raley, another A. 36 appearances, 2.45 ERA, 2.12 FIP. Rock solid. Ryan Helsley, never come back to New York for your safety. F. A joke. It really sucks that didn't work out. Again, if he's average, maybe we're not having this episode right now. Tyler Rogers, B minus. Solid. And then I do want to, give David Stearns his flowers. He found some good value with, Jose Castillo, Justin Hageman, Chris Devenski, Austin Warren, Kevin Hergert. Those guys did not lose you games. A lot of the time, they kept you in games. Stearns found a ton of value in guys like that.
And also Ryan Stanek, right?
I didn't even want to fucking mention him. I don't understand how he made the whole fucking year. That will probably be my biggest takeaway from the 2025 Mets. And you know what? I'm gonna end the grades with him. What's lower than an F? Can I give him a Z? Yeah, he gets a Z minus. Because how the fuck did you stay on this roster for the entire game, for the entire season
If
with
it's
an ERA over 5?
if it's any solace, he had the most amount
No,
of games on the team
no, I don't understand how Ryan Stanek survived this long.
and had the most
This long
amount of
game.
appearances for a reliever on this team.
He only pitched 10 less innings than Edwin Diaz with an ERA over 5. His FIP wasn't even that good. It was at 4.4.
Did he have the highest? Yeah, take out Daniel Nunez and like guys that had like one appearance. He had the highest walk rate while having one of the lowest strikeout rates.
He was just so bad. I don't understand how I don't understand how this happened.
Yeah.
He's just so bad. So he gets a Z. But overall, we know what happened to the 2025 Mets. This season gets an F. Plain and simple. You had a lot of good individual seasons, but for whatever reason, they came up short and just couldn't put it together. Carlos Mendoza also had a rough year. I'd probably give him like a C minus. Because I do think a lot of it is out of his control. Because when, your starters can't get out of the 4th inning, out of the 5th inning, and you got to start getting guys up in the bullpen, that makes your job a lot harder. But that's not to abstain him of any blame for some of the decisions he made, especially late in season.
And even then, just to add
Especially
to
game
it,
162.
when you got to get guys up in the fourth, fifth inning, and the superstar all-star closer that you traded for doesn't know how to not tell the other team what pitch he's throwing, then yeah, and you really only have 1.5 guys you can trust on a daily basis in the bullpen.
Right. Tough gig.
Yeah.
Really is. So that being said, I know this was a longer episode, so I'm gonna wrap it up here. This is the last time we're really gonna be talking about the 2025 Mets for the most part. Obviously, some callbacks here or there. So good riddance. From here on out, it's off season time. You know, that's where the fun starts, really. Uh, so just any closing thoughts of the grades 2025, whatever.
It really is weird how there were probably like 6 or 7 guys they were like, I really, really liked the year that they had. And then everyone else was dog shit. And that's why we're here.
Basically, that's a good way to put it. So with that being said, go Mariners. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching.
And Brewers.
If you're and Brewers, my bad, and Brewers. Uh, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, remember to subscribe, leave us a like, leave us a comment. Again, a lot of off-season stuff coming your way in the next however many months. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating, leave us a follow. We really appreciate it. Helps us out. Never miss an episode. And follow also follow all of our social media accounts at Triboro Podcast, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. Again, we do posts during the off season as well. When guys sign, that is where we're gonna do it first, and then we'll have episodes afterwards. So you want live reactions, you want live analysis, go follow our social media account at Tribal Podcast. You'll get a lot of that there. So thank you guys once again for listening and watching, and we'll see you the next episode.
Peace.
Thank you.